PS2, is it worth it in 2023? You're fed up. Modern gaming has burned you too many times with the good old pre-orders. Looking at you, Gotham Knights. You think to yourself, man, it was better back in my day. Does the gameplay hold up? I'm here to answer that very, very specific question. Is the PS2 worth it in 2023? If you've grown up during the golden era of gaming and you had a PS2 console, this is going to be a no-brainer for you. There are a few things to consider and look at before kind of taking the lead thing. So hopefully this is going to help you out and avoid the pitfalls that I myself have found. And the three things we're going to be talking about was it cost? The initial cost for setting everything. Is that going to be worth it? Is it too much? Secondly is the setup. And that might sound simple, but this is probably one of the tricky bits. Getting your older console to communicate with modern stuff, modern TVs. So there's a few pitfalls for that. And the third one, you're gonna have to hang around and see and find out. But anyway, okay. So number one is cost. This is going to vary depending on the condition of the product, condition of the console, and of the game. But you can pretty much pick up a console anywhere from 50, you're gonna be lucky, to $100, depending on the condition, depending on where you're at, depending on a few factors. And this is Australian dollars, by the way. Games are generally pretty reasonable, but we'll get into that in a sec. You will need to check the condition of the cables. That's a big thing with retro gaming because a lot of the cables that connect to your TV, if they're not working properly, you're going to have to get a new one. And there's nothing worse than getting a half-working cable and you're playing a game and you have to literally like maneuver it to try and get a photo. Don't worry, just get a new one. Same goes for memory cards. You know, the whole 8 megabytes of data. You got to make sure I'd probably grab at least one good controller. So sometimes the controller that you get with your console is shit. Look, hey, it depends on what you know, if you just want to start off bit by bit, awesome, and it works, awesome. Keep in mind that if you're using PS1 controllers on a PS2 console, while it will work, some PS2 games won't let you use it. Essentially, Star Wars Battlefield 2 as an example. You can get some really, really great games at some really reasonable prices. Like I got Lord of the Rings here for 10 to 15 bucks. And same thing, I got Star Wars Battlefront 2 here. Oh, my light died. No effects. It's all good. As you've probably aware, if you're interested in this retro gaming subject, that there can be a bit of a price tag and price gouging for certain games. Like if you're gonna go try and get Silent Hill 2, that's gonna be upwards of $200. And normally you should be all right. You should be able to get some cool games for pennies. Like I found Constantine, which is brand new with the Kmart, the old orange Kmart sticker on it. You're not, if it's a collector's item, you're not gonna get around the fact that you're gonna be charged. So it's up to you if you want to pay for it, but it's up to you. Anyway, cost-wise, I think cost is gonna be a prevalent one in all of them. But anyway, moving on to the second one, which is probably going to be kind of the most important. That is the setup, or more importantly, your setup. We all have modern HD TVs now. The biggest thing you're going to have to do and be aware of is you're going to have to get a HDMI converter. And this can be a little bit expensive, depending on which way you're looking at. This is where you want to invest in how much money you can afford. For me, I started off with like a $20 one from JB Hi-Fi, which was absolute plus. Don't waste your time with that shit. It works and it gives you a signal, but it's awful. Save the 20 bucks and invest in something like what's called a pound cable. You can pick it up off Amazon for, I don't know, 50 bucks. Vast improvement. For me, I found it so much more enjoyable. And that's the way that I play my games now. Cool, you get a HDMI cable, bang. You just got to go and make sure that you've got on your PS2 console the output set to RGB and not component. Now, this is the third step and probably the one that's going to test you a little bit. And it's a bit weird, and thank you for sticking out. This is patience. Now you're looking at me like, the fuck has that got to do with anything? And why did you leave that last? Now, this is arguably one of the most important is patience. And I know you're like, patience, what the fuck are you going on about? I'm going to be honest, and this is just through my experience. You might find it completely different and everything works really well for you. But with any retro gaming journey, things are not going to work. Even though they're plugged in and they should work and you've tested it, and for whatever reason, the image is a bit weird. The audio is a bit weird. There's something fucking weird going on. It's weird galore. Keep that in mind. But trust me, it'll be worth it. So what you want to do is, I guess for me, worked in like steps. Plug it and play, eat nice and easy, and for it to look and play really, really well. So I've only got there recently, but that's just because I tried to take a few shortcuts. Don't. Just work through it right. Work through the kinks in terms of like read the instructions. Make sure you've got everything plugged in correctly. Make sure you're not buying cheap, shitty converter HDMIs. Hopefully this video will help you. Go and buy that power cable. That will make your life so much better. Set your TV, your modern TV, to game mode. And then once you've got the power cable, it should be pretty much, and it looks great, and you can capture it really well. So to answer the question, yes, the PS2 as a whole is 1000% worth it. If you want to get away from the state of modern gaming, and you get to really kind of see if this gameplay holds up. Now, you're going to be surprised. Some will, some won't. Some will play like absolute horse shit, and some will be like, wow. Take, for instance, I recently bought the original God of War in perfect condition for like $5. I plugged it in, and my God, this game is a masterpiece. It holds up. Graphically, its PS2s are going to be rough, right? So I gather if you've got this far into the video, you're not really searching for the best looking game, because most times the best looking game plays like shit. Not all of it, but you know, so I definitely, like, in terms of gameplay, everything just clicked when I started playing God of War, and it went to the point where like the nostalgia came back, but in a modern way. And I'm really trying hard to articulate it. Like, and this is all that I could put it down to. It has been a very long time since I've had the feeling of I can't put down the controller. And I got that with God of War. I was like, it was like playing it again for the first time. For God of War and for other games like Metal Gear Solid 2, it still holds up, man. Metal Gear Solid 2 puts modern gaming to shame. Hopefully I've answered your question. Hopefully you've stuck around with me rambling. I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. Have an absolutely fantastic day and night. Peace. And until next time.